moderator today. Thank you for fighting the Austin traffic. If you don't have a hotel room here, you made it on time. 8:30 session is, registered apprenticeship, a key workforce strategy for sustainability. So I'm glad you've joined us. We have a panel here that will be sharing. I have a few announcements, so if there's anything in the room that I can help with, please let me know. A question about checkout. There is no late checkout, so we wanted to announce that early. Please make sure that you check out. We've also had, if you've experienced the parking debacle when you try to leave, they've requested that everybody go to the front desk, pay out your parking, get a validated key card, and then we can all leave more smoothly. So if you can do that, we appreciate it. They'll give you a receipt. Your card will go in, your parking card, and then we can move out smoothly. They will have the arms up during lunch, so you can leave for lunch and come back and not have to worry about your parking, any of the parking ticket parts. So I wanted to make sure I shared that. This session is also for CEU credit. There's a table right outside that you can get your credit stamped. So please make sure you do that if that is what you need. There is an opportunity for questions. I'm actually going to walk and talk. I feel like Oprah. I'm going to walk and talk for a second and shut the door. There is an opportunity for questions. We are recording, so we ask that everybody wait for the mic before you ask your question.
This one's on, right? Can y'all hear me?
I apologize.
No?
We usually have two moderators, and I apologize. Someone would have shut that door. Those are the questions. One more thought is please silence your cell phones. Again, we're recording, so we want to make sure that everything can be heard. Is there anything else I can share before you guys take us away? Welcome.
Good morning. I forgot my badge. Not that y'all could see it way out there, but I'm Desiree Holmes. I'm the Apprenticeship Director for Texas Workforce Commission, and I want to welcome you to our session. And I want to take a minute. I have 3 of my staff in the audience, and I'd like them to stand as I introduce them. I didn't want Weston to stand up and knock somebody down. Weston Saitoff, he's one of our program specialists. Tracy Nolan, one of our program specialists. If after the session you have any questions, we have a table outside, and we'll probably be there until about 2:30 or 3, so if you have questions. And this isn't the only exposure that you can have to us. We have an email address, apprenticeshiptexas.twc.texas.gov, so you can always reach out to us. Tammy Monroe. Tammy Monroe is also a program specialist with her, and I'm quite proud to have her because she's willing to navigate all the certifications she has to in order to become a contract manager with us. So happy to have her on board as well. The 2 individuals that we have up here today are individuals that work with apprenticeship pretty much where the rubber meets the road. They're in the board. They are navigators. Brandi on the end is in North Central, and Kim is with South Texas College. Both of them are in our Navigator pool where we mentor them on exactly what we do at the state office as far as engaging with employers, working with developing their standards for Department of Labor. They're like many of us in the field. So very happy to have them willing to come share their expertise, so you can hear what they do in their particular board areas. So I'm here mainly to answer any questions that might come that are appropriate for the state office, but they're the main stars for today, and I'm gonna let them tell you more about themselves and what they do, and I hope that you enjoy the session. So welcome. Be sure and ask questions. There's no dumb questions. We're here to answer them and support you in any way. So again, here we go.
Good morning. Can you hear me okay? My name is Brandi Trotter, and I'm with Workforce Solutions for North Central Texas. We are the workforce board in the DFW that has the 14 counties that surround Dallas and Tarrant, so we have a very extensive area. I am the Industry and Workforce Development Specialist. We were recently just restructured and renamed. I'm glad that I didn't stumble over that because I've done that before with the new title. But our team works with employers to identify their workforce gaps, and we connect them with partners and help to develop strategies to address those workforce needs, whether it's connecting them with the community college for a skills development fund grant or registered apprenticeship, sponsorship and training, or even the ISDs, because we're certainly starting to see employers looking to develop their talent pipeline and look back a little further for potential workforce. I also want to quickly just recognize two of my team members that are here, if they can wave. Eric Shanks and also Tisha Johnson. They are out in the field a lot working with employers and EDC partners to help push the workforce message. So thank you for having me.
Okay, I'm going to stand up because I'm missing half the people over here. And yeah, my name is Kim Moore, and I'll be a mini-me to Desiree Holmes any day. You know, she said we're kind of the me. So first of all, I'm really glad and honored to be here. Thanks, Desi, for inviting me to be one of the presenters and see some faces that I know, others that I don't. But thank you all for coming. And as I said, my name is Kim Moore. I work at South Texas College, and we do have an apprenticeship program. We have a lot of different grants that we're utilizing and a lot of different apprenticeship programs, obviously, under those grants. So I'm excited to be a part of this. You know, I kind of started with the apprenticeship program at South Texas College kind of at the beginning. You know, we were just kind of getting things underway, and it has grown and grown and grown over the last several years. So it's interesting to work with apprenticeships. It's something that obviously the workforce needs. You can see people being developed and matriculate through their career and increase wages, opportunities, and so forth. So it's a good topic, and it's good to be here. Thank you very much. First slide, me? Well, it's not clicking. Let's see if we can advance this, or it's kind of frozen on us. Technical challenges, don't worry. We do have a backup. We need an apprentice. I have a copy of the presentation if it's frozen. So I did bring that.
Yeah, and I have put that on a flash drive just in case we need it.
Okay. The only thing the audience won't be able to see it, but yeah, I do have it.
And we're not able to use that.
Okay, so we're back in action here. Well, you can see the first slide. I'm not going to try to bore you guys with a lot, too much information like overload, but I do want to let you know that our plan or our idea is to kind of walk you through the process of, let's say, registering for an apprenticeship program. A registered apprenticeship program is what we're focusing on. So some of the main steps we have listed here. There are others that you would obviously need to know about to actually start, from start to finish. But the first one, it says identify the need. I think that's really important. At South Texas College, our department anyway, works with a lot of different, we're always applying for grants is what I'm trying to say. So my department in particular is sustained 100% by grants. So it's very common for us to apply for grants, right? And we do that very well. We have a team, a grants and compliance team that helps us to do that as a department. But the reason I'm mentioning that is to say, sometimes over the years that we've been doing this, maybe there may be like a knee-jerk reaction to say there's money out there, let's apply for it. But the first step is always and should be is to identify, as you can see here, the need. What is the need in the industry, with employers? What is the need, obviously, outside in terms of people that want to be a part of those programs? Because if you don't have that, you're just going to have a grant with a program that may sound great and a lot of different slots available within the program, but it will be difficult to recruit people. And that's the most important. You want people that are candidates or apprentices in that program that are going to follow all the way through and graduate. That's the point. So identifying that and the need, and that takes research. It takes having your finger on the pulse, so to speak, of the industry, going out talking to employers, or employers approaching you, but you really need to find out what is the need in terms of a apprenticeship program. One of the next steps would be to research the USDOL. Of course, that's an interesting website as well. There's lots of information. There's a monthly newsletter. I think there's even a weekly newsletter, but for sure a monthly newsletter. And there's lots of information about what programs are already out there. So you want to stay close to that, because if you're doing a RAP, obviously the Department of Labor has to be involved. Everybody has to be registered with the Department of Labor. So you want to stay close to them from the beginning. Reviewing the RAPs that are out there, registered apprenticeship programs. I don't want to go too fast. That's what that means, RAPs. We have a lot of acronyms, right? But some people may be new to that. Registered apprenticeship programs. Again, they're registered with who? With the Department of Labor. And these are programs that are already approved. Some college or some organization probably already has those, some candidates involved in those registered apprenticeship programs. But you want to see what's already out there and what's available. Now, maybe what you're doing is going to be new. It's a RAP or it's a program that doesn't exist yet. We've done that before at South Texas College. We did a brewery, where we actually learned how to brew beer. And that was very popular. And we had a couple of people that were business owners to go through that program, but it was the first in the state, maybe the first in the country. So maybe you're going to develop something new. That's great. That's wonderful. But you still have to follow these particular guidelines. The next thing, really quick, moving along, is engaging the employers. That's super important, because you want, really, you should have a committee to support you. Let's just say like your board of directors for the apprenticeship program locally. And that should be made up basically of employers, business owners, maybe people that are part of the ISD, or important people that can help you along the way. Now, once those people become involved, obviously they're probably supplying, to say it, not say it a better way, right? They're employers to be a part of the apprenticeship program, but they can also give you feedback along the way. Maybe sometime the program needs to be revamped. Maybe technology is changing and you need to make some changes. So you always want to stay close to the employers. Moving along, again, you have to complete the DOL process. That involves a lot of different documents. There's an Appendix A, there's Appendix D. There's things that you have to fill out and get information from the people that want to be involved. It's a process you have to apply for your particular program to actually be accepted by the DOL. Submit everything that you have in terms of the people, the documentation, information, wait for affirmation from that, the approval process. And then, of course, and not in order, but you have to identify the apprentices and get those people enrolled and get them on board. One last thing I would say about this particular step real quick is recruiting is very important as well. You know, maybe you don't have to do a lot of recruiting because it's kind of a built into the cake, meaning you have one employer or two employers and all of your candidates will come from those companies, let's say, for that particular program. Wonderful. But you still want to work with those individuals. You want to sit down with them. You want to talk with them. You want to let them know about the program, how long it is it competency-based? Is it, you know, time-based? What kind of program it is? And make sure they're on board as employers or apprentices to go through the entire program. That way you have success and, you know, you have less people dropping out and so forth and so on. So that's kind of the steps that you go through. Again, it's an extensive process, but it's very interesting, it's doable, and it's something that can bring a lot of success to the people that enroll as apprentices. Okay? I'll let Ms. Brandi have the next one.
Thank you. I feel really short today. I don't have on my tall heels, so I hope y'all can see me. So as Kim was talking about the process, this is something that North Central has really been working with our employers to explore this training option. Following the pandemic, we noticed that employers were starting to pay more attention to the fact that they were losing individuals, and so they were struggling to attract and retain talent. And on the other side of that, career seekers, particularly those that were in industries that were hard hit by the pandemic, were a lot pickier about where they were going to work. They were looking for obviously good pay and benefits, but they also want to work for an employer that's going to invest in their workforce development and their career path. And so this is a training model that does provide flexible training options for recruiting and upskilling. And so registered apprenticeship is customized. The employer is able to develop the program so that they get the exact skills out of the apprentices once they have gone through it. And so they're very involved in developing the training program. They're able to develop those core components. It also ensures that the apprentices are equipped with the knowledge and skills needed for their position and put them in a position to move up throughout the organization should they choose to do that. This model also helps to shorten the learning curve due to the hands-on and mentoring that's received through registered apprenticeship. An example, one of our partners, Bombardier and Red Oak, they have an aircraft assembler program, and in our apprenticeship backgrounder that we developed through one of our grants, I had the opportunity to interview the plant manager, and that was one of the biggest things for them was the learning curve significantly shortened, and it also helped to increase their retention. Registered apprenticeship serves as an attraction and retention tool. Again, new and existing workers can be enrolled into a program. That's completely up to the employer. We've worked with 7 different employers to develop their programs in our area, and sometimes it's just for 1 or 2 occupations, and that's okay. They start internally. We also work with those that want to recruit new and help them in developing a recruitment plan to do that. And so this just allows for employers to additionally upskill current workers, but also make room for new entry-level workers to come into the organization. And per the Department of Labor, 93% of apprentices that go through programs, they retain employment, and that's because they know that their employer is invested in their future, in their workforce, and so they tend to be a lot more loyal and aren't moving around for 50 cents to 75 cents more. It also allows employers to diversify in terms of recruitment. Obviously, you know, depending on what the industry is, there are certain things that the employers are looking for, but we are now in a position to better promote the different career seeker pools that we work with, to include women, minorities, and even individuals that are just looking to reskill and get into a new career. And so by building these programs, it allows them to be successful even if they don't have a lot of prior knowledge coming in, because of the hands-on nature of registered apprenticeship, they're able to quickly upskill. And as I mentioned before, employers are looking at that talent development pipeline. So they're also looking at students in the ISDs that are in the career and technical education programs, and then also just the youth that will be going to, moving into the workforce following graduation. And again, creating a pipeline. A lot of industries are facing a wave of retirees. It's known as the brain drain. I was visiting an employer last week, and they call him Mr. Recaro because he knows everything that goes on at Recaro Aircraft Seating, but he's getting ready to retire. And so we are currently talking about a skills development fund grant. We haven't gotten to registered apprenticeship yet, but that's something a lot of industries are facing, and so they're panicking because their knowledge is walking out of the door. And this allows employers to focus more on developing and retaining talent so that the continuous knowledge and skill building is going on within the organization. And also this training model allows for employers to be confident that their workers have the skills to get the job done, which increases the ROI for them and sets them up for more opportunities to grow within the organization. Pass it back over to Kim.
Okay, let's see here. There we go. Current, okay, some of the current apprenticeship efforts we have at South Texas College, just to give you an idea. Obviously, it's different at a lot of different colleges or universities or different agencies, but you can see here we have some that are active right now: computer network specialists and computer user support specialists. Now, these are based on what's called the CompTIA program. There's two different options. There's the A+, and then there's a Server Plus with the CCNA. So, Certified Customer Network Administrator. So, what that allows the student to do is to choose how in-depth they want to go in that area, in that option, and how long it will take them. As an example, many times in colleges at least, you want your apprenticeship program, when possible, to be aligned with the credit side of the college, meaning a person can start in the apprenticeship program, finish that up, and then they can continue on the credit side, let's say to get an associate's degree or to get a bachelor's degree. It all depends. So as an example, these first two were designed by instructors on the credit side, and once the person finishes these courses, they can continue, if they'd like to, in that pathway to get an associate degree or a bachelor's degree. Obviously, all of the apprenticeship programs, I continue to announce that very loudly, do not do that beautifully, align with the credit side, because again, we have to find out what's the first step, find out what the need is, right, for the industry. A lot of people are not interested in an associate's degree or a bachelor's degree or a master's degree. Some of them are. Right, but you have to be flexible, and sometimes the credit part of institutions don't understand that. But you have to push, and Desi always helps us with that. Again, really quickly, just to mention some of the ones. Construction superintendent for us, that has really been something that's knocked the ball out of the park, so to speak. Excuse me, down in South Texas College, we've had tons of people go through that program. I think because the industry is somewhat regulated, but maybe not as highly regulated down in the south part of Texas as it needs to be. But people want credentials, and they want the knowledge that you can get, as a participant in an apprenticeship program, something that's structured. Many of them have been those participants in that program, have been a part of the workforce for 10 years or 15 years. Some of them are already superintendents, but they never had any kind of credentials or paperwork. And so people are excited and hungry to go through a structured program to get the knowledge gaps that they had filled, and then to step away with a credential from the Department of Labor. Hotel associate, HVAC technician. Obviously, there's a lot of own hands type apprenticeship programs where people can go through and again get credentials. Some of the things that we have in terms of pre-apprenticeship programs: chef and cook, which has really been good for us to go, just kind of getting that underway. CNC tool operator and tool programmer. We have students going through that program right now as I speak. Construction technician, another thing that's really been ramped up for us lately. And customer service representative, kind of just getting started in that. So those are a few of the programs that we're doing now, obviously, just to give you an idea, but other people are doing different things. So, but that'll kind of help you understand what we're doing at South Texas College. Thank you. Brandi?
As I'm sure y'all were able to see from Kim's last slide, apprenticeship has really diversified in terms of the types of industries that you see it within. Typically, it was just the trades and construction, and we've had conversations with employers that have IT firms and also hospitality, and so it provides a lot of good opportunity through a lot of different occupations. So North Central, we focus a lot on employer engagement. We have those one-on-one conversations with the employer to understand what their workforce needs are currently and in the future. Sometimes registered apprenticeship is a great fit if they're looking to standardize training or if they're finding that they're having a hard time attracting or keeping people in a certain position. We will recommend registered apprenticeship to help structure that training and provide that hands-on learning. We also rely a lot on our economic development corporations. They are kind of the front line in their particular communities in terms of working with the employers and finding out what's going on with them. And so a lot of times they will include us in their retention visits so that we can talk to employers and hear what's going on. And they also have some high-level knowledge of registered apprenticeship, and so they're able to talk to an employer intelligently enough to get them interested and then connect them back to us to keep the process moving forward. We additionally are very, very fortunate to have two DOL representatives in our territory that are willing to meet with us when we go to talk to employers and help them through the development process and registering their programs. So we are very, very grateful for John and Kelly. They're fantastic. We also host employer apprenticeship forums. Last year we had our first one at the end of March, and we brought together a panel of employer sponsors and also training providers to talk about, you know, the positives of registered apprenticeship and also some of the challenges. I think it's important for employers or anyone who wants to be a sponsor to know all sides of it, to see if it's something that in fact will work for their organization or may not for whatever reason, and we can identify other training opportunities. And we will be hosting an employer forum in June. Crept up on me a little bit quicker than I thought. And this time around with our grant funds, we'll be offering one in the southern part of our region and also the northern part. We also host virtual information sessions on funding opportunities. When TWC announced the 2 apprenticeship opportunities for employers, the critical skills and the healthcare initiative, we just put together a very short presentation that we presented via Zoom to our employers about the opportunities. And there were actually 2 that were starting to work on their applications. So we were very happy to share that information. And then also we use our targeted industry and occupation list and job postings to kind of identify what employers are having this recurring job posting. Perhaps we can go and talk to them and see if that is a good fit for registered apprenticeship. With pre-apprenticeship discussions, we're somewhat at the beginning of that, but currently we are working with 2 employers that are connected with their local ISDs. Bombardier and Carbon Aerospace is working with Red Oak ISD and TSTC to develop a pre-apprenticeship program that would help students to be more prepared with those baseline skills to move into the registered apprenticeship following. And Red Oak ISD is implementing their aviation technology CTE program, and so the employer's input has been very valuable to them in terms of how to structure that. We are also working with L3 Harris, Paris Junior College, and Greenville ISD to develop a registered apprenticeship for L3 Harris and have that pre-apprenticeship piece in the ISD. Paris Junior College is currently a sponsor of an industrial maintenance registered apprenticeship program, and so we'll be able to add occupations to their existing program. I mentioned briefly before with the apprenticeship model backgrounder, we developed this with our first grant, and it's just a document that talks about registered apprenticeship, kind of where it started, how it's changed throughout the years, and we also have 2 case studies from 2 employers in our area that have registered apprenticeship programs. We were also able to develop a mini documentary video with Bombardier. We followed 5 apprentices from the time that they started their related training instruction with TSTC to getting hired on with Bombardier, and also interviewed the staff that participated in getting that program going, and everyone had really good things to say about it. It's been a really good opportunity for Bombardier to build their workforce and be more productive. And then career exploration and pipeline development. We have a team of folks that work specifically with our ISDs and community colleges, and career exploration is one of our strategic plan pillars. And so registered apprenticeship fits right into that as being a work-based learning model. And so we like to introduce students to the registered apprenticeship opportunities that are in our area so they can consider those if they're not planning to go straight into school following high school. And then, like I said, we're working with the CTEs and the employers to tie those programs together so that they are more prepared to go into work. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just gonna take a seat.
Okay, so some of the next steps that we have for STC, actually, I think I jumped to one screen. Yeah. Okay, some of the next steps. Well, first of all, as Brandi was speaking about some of the points that they're doing there, where she is, we're doing several things and planning several things as well. For example, a roundtable discussion for employers. We actually did that last week. We called it like a mini summit where we had a lot of different employers to come in, and we basically listened to them. And we, again, kind of checked the pulse of what's happening, what are the needs, what are the recommendations, but that's really important to bring in your employers and to have a roundtable discussion. Those people can speak into, and in our case, the life of a college, and give you direction, give you understanding of what's needed, and obviously they can help you develop the curriculum as well for the particular program, that you're choosing. So that you don't do that just on the academic side, you know? You do that based on real-time need in the industry. Apprenticeship for veterans, we're applying for that. I understand there's some funding available for that, for the veterans. Obviously a very important sector of our society. We always want to honor them. But one of the ways to do that is getting them involved in an apprenticeship program. So there's funding there. Let's see how that goes. But I understand we're in the process of applying for that, at least at STC. A graduation ceremony for apprentices. That's something we're planning closer to the fall of the year. Again, we have tons of people that have gone through the construction superintendent program at STC, and others as well, CNC, phlebotomy, different programs. So we're trying to get all those people together and set a time to where we can actually do another graduating ceremony. We did that last year. We graduated some people. I think there were 17 people from a program. That was really exciting, a high point for us. So we're planning another one of those. And in the Office of the Apprenticeship, this is something new in terms of us at STC actually having what we're calling an Office of the Apprenticeship or Apprenticeship Center. Up to this point, we haven't had much staff involved in the apprenticeship program. So we just did a lot of work and kind of, again, brought it from the ground to the point that it is now. But I recently got a promotion as well, so I'll say congratulations to myself, right? That's always a good thing, right? Actually, the position started yesterday, so while I was here in Austin, I'm in a new position, but I'm out of town. But so we're starting the Apprenticeship Center, and I'll be able to oversee that because I love working with the apprenticeship program. We're hiring a couple of more people, another navigator and another coordinator. And again, I'll be, heading that up. I just can't let it go because it's really important, and I just see so much work there. But I'm the new, at SCC anyway, Director of Institutional Advancement and Economic Development. So I'll be working in another department with one of the VPs, and we're overseeing other sectors of the college. But so that's an interesting step for me, and those are some of the things that are happening right now at South Texas College. Brandi?
Oh, wait. Is this?
I forgot my next slide, but I'll mention it when you
Okay, I'll be quick. Yeah. Okay, so obviously the next steps for us are just continuing that partner engagement. We're continually identifying ways to connect with industry, to find out more about workforce trend information. We currently have convened an infrastructure and construction sector partnership because that's one of the fastest growing industries in our region. And as we get into more conversations, registered apprenticeship, I think, will come as a part of the conversations. There were 3 main areas that they identified as priority when we had our initial meeting. Retention and recruitment, definitely one of them. Awareness of the industry itself, and also training. And so registered apprenticeship can be beneficial for those employers to get their employees up to speed. And in addition to any labor market data that we're looking at, we like to talk to our employers because local wisdom helps to kind of round out the picture. Data will only tell you so much, so it's always good to have those specific relationships with employers to have that information. We want to increase our pre-apprenticeship conversations. Again, employers are more willing to look further back into the ISDs to help develop that talent pipeline so that they have a continuous workforce that has knowledge of their organization and can come in, hit the ground running, but continue to grow and also stay with them. And so we'll continue to have those conversations, bring our education and industry partners together. Talent development webinar series. We are working on this right now. It's a good way just to pull employers together, give them information, and so we'll have a variety of topics that we'll talk about, but registered apprenticeship will be one of those for them to consider as a workforce strategy within their organization. And then working with our current sponsors to expand their programs. Like I said, PJC currently has an industrial maintenance, and we're going to be able to add some occupations to that. And so just taking a look at where the other programs are in terms of, do we need to consider adding more occupations? Do we need to add more people? And so we'll just continue those conversations with employers and other partners in our communities that touch workforce.
Thank you, Brandi. Okay, so you can see here, there's a few more programs that we have at South Texas College. Some of these, I need to update this slide because actually some of them are not as new as others, and we can add more to that program. I met someone in the hallway yesterday, and she said, yeah, I've heard of you at South Texas College. You guys have a lot of apprenticeship programs, and that's true. We apply for a lot of different grant opportunities, which is great. And over the years, you learn also some, again, that's why I mentioned that at the beginning about finding out what the need is first, because some programs are more successful than others. You can see a good sector of what we're doing now is focused on the medical industry. We're excited because hopefully soon we'll be able to announce a new RN, registered nurse apprenticeship program. That's something that we're hoping that we get the final signatures and it comes forth really soon. There's a lot of opportunity there. You know that the medical industry in terms of nurses and doctors are very understaffed right now, especially after what happened with COVID. So there's some great opportunities there, and we're looking to take advantage of that. We're actually developing some programs. Recruiting is ongoing right now in that area. And as far as pre-apprenticeship programs, we're just kind of getting started, getting our feet wet, so to speak, with pre-apprenticeship programs. However, we are working with some ISDs in the area, and the different directors in those different departments that oversee students in certain pathways, and so we're ramping that up, but there's great opportunities there as well. So those are some of the things we're doing at South Texas College. I think we're finishing up our slides, and now it's a time for questions. So I don't know if anyone has questions, or Ms. Desi wants to start that or not, but we're open for that.
They kind of touched on it, but one thing I wanted to mention, and several of you in the audience know this, but TWC has done articulation of completed registered apprenticeship programs into college credit, and we've done 22 occupations. There's more that can be done, but we don't do it until the employer or the program actually asks for it. So there's many registered apprenticeship programs that could be articulated into college credit. The ones that are currently done, we have on our website. A lot of them are construction related, but not all. And colleges do use it, and in some of them, they're only 3 or 4 classes away from getting an associate's. So if you are currently working with registered apprenticeship programs, that might be of some use to put into your conversation with them. And TWC drank the Kool-Aid of registered apprenticeship, not only supporting it, but we have 3 registered apprenticeship programs that we sponsor for our own employees. One is computer programmer. One is paralegal, and the last one is data analyst. And we're working on some HR, and Weston and Tracy could talk to, they're helping mentor another state agency into doing registered apprenticeship for some of their high demand occupations. Actually, I think it's related to computer programmer. Is that right, Weston? But just wanted to mention that. Don't want to take up all the time for questions. If you have any, let's hear them. Microphone. Started to run it. This one.
Good morning. I was just wondering if the state was planning on doing the articulation for all the credits for all the programs that we already have in a targeted occupation list versus just waiting for them to be requested by either the school or the student.
We don't really do it unless the program or the employer does it. All of them can be articulated for apprentices that are going through and complete, but unless they have a purpose, that's not what we focus on. We only focus on the ones that are requested.
Okay, thank you.
We covered everything? No questions?
Here they come.
I'd like to know more about the pre-apprenticeship. Can you share some success stories and basically how you get started and keep that going?
You want to take that first?
Yes, I'll start with that. Yes, well, again, we're just kind of getting started in pre-apprenticeship programs, but it's obviously a great opportunity for younger people, people in high school. In our case, we've kind of started with juniors and seniors. We've had success with a couple of programs. One is Chef and Cook, where the students actually have to go through a process. The pre-apprenticeship programs are much less demanding, obviously, than a registered apprenticeship program. That's the first thing. Less hours, normally it's about 48 hours for the students during a semester or during a year that they go through. One thing about the pre-apprenticeship programs is you want to always try to make sure you include hands-on activities for high school students or younger people. That's really important. Even though you don't have at that moment the on-the-job training that they go through, because they may not be working in that particular career at the moment, at least when they start, but you want to do some kind of visiting different employers, hands-on type situations. For example, in that particular program, Chef and Cook, the instructor at that school, well, the school actually bought a, what do you call those, like a taco stand or a truck, a truck that you
A
bring
food
in.
truck?
Yeah, there you go. Bring it in into the school and park it there. And they were actually selling food to the public, and they got all the students involved. So that's a really good, example of hands-on experience, making it interesting. Obviously, there's a curriculum. There's things they must do. But for us, we're just getting started in that. Another one, it would be the hotel associate. We took some students through that particular program, and we actually took them to different hotels and gave them a tour, and they were actually able to talk to the staff there and the manager and so forth. So that's my experience with the pre-apprenticeship program. But it's a great opportunity, and it's a pathway into a wrap, right? To kind of whet their appetite for what is to come. At that age, maybe in high school, one more thing I'll say, a lot of times students try things. My boyfriend's there, or my girlfriend's there, or my best friends, I'm gonna do, you know how that works, right? And so, but they find out they're really not interested in it. So, you have a negative standpoints to mention as well, but many positive outcomes is that they continue in the program, and then they actually officially enroll in a registered apprenticeship program later on.
And I'll add one thing to that. When we talk about pre-apprenticeship, we always put the word quality in front of it. DOL describes quality pre-apprenticeship in one of their Teagles. It is, what makes it quality is there's an employer that's involved. So they might not have a registered apprenticeship, but they have a pathway into an employer. The preference is, of course, that they move into a registered apprenticeship program. But pre-apprenticeship is supposed to be a pathway to a job. Quality pre-apprenticeship is a pathway into a job, hopefully a wrap.
And so North Central is also at the beginning phases of pre-apprenticeship in the discussions. Most notably with L3 Harris and Hunt County, they actually had hired 10 of the Greenville ISD seniors out of high school based on the skills that they had in this through the CTE program that they had matriculated through. And so L3 Harris is working to develop a registered apprenticeship for some of their occupations, but they're also working in conjunction with that CTE program. And so there's, a couple of different paths that students can have to become employed there, and all of the other ISDs in Hunt County are knocking down the door now because they want that opportunity for their students as well. It's good career exploration because a lot of times students only know what their parents do, or they may have a preconceived notion about what an industry is, what it's like to work somewhere, and so exposing them to industries through pre-apprenticeship programs and just that employer engagement really helps to open up their opportunities that they can choose from following high school.
Yes, I work in VR, and this is a great opportunity for a lot of our customers. So my question is, how do we make this referral? Like if we have a customer that would be a good fit for the apprentice program, who do we contact? How do we get that referral started? How do we get that service to take off?
So we have a hireability navigator that we bring into our conversations with registered apprenticeship. And we also talk to employers when talking about recruitment diversity. That's also a very good candidate pool to consider. And with registered apprenticeship providing that hands-on specific training, it's good for anyone that's coming into the organization. Now, obviously, it's going to vary by occupation and also the abilities of that individual, but we do like in our initial conversations, even prior to registered apprenticeship, like to work with our employers to understand what types of candidate pools they would be looking at to hire in general, whether that's second chance, if they're wanting to work with youth that are coming out of high school, and also individuals with disabilities. And so that is a part of our conversation. And once, the employer has decided to do that, then that's when we'll work with VR and our hireability navigator to incorporate all of the pieces that need to be within that program.
Thank you. So who do we contact to get that started?
It normally comes from an employer having a need to want to develop a registered apprenticeship program, and then if one of their candidate pools they have an interest in is individuals with disability, then that's when the board or perhaps the college, just depending on who you're talking to, can bring in that VR staff to start that conversation. I hope that makes more sense.
Okay. It makes sense. I was thinking it was the other way around. It was more like a customer wants to become a paralegal or whatever, and I thought that you guys could place them in with their business that's already set up, but I guess it's the other way around.
I think that our workforce center teams that do a lot of work with career seekers and case management can be really assistive in that process. Our business operations specialist recently did a registered apprenticeship training so that they're able to talk about it intelligently to employers as well, but it also, with those that are working in the centers with career seekers, they're aware of those opportunities as well. And so just depending on that person's need, what they would be interested in doing, they can introduce it at that time. And so the connection is a little closer there.
Okay, thank you.
Question in the back.
Good morning. Erin Dosher here with the Heart of Texas Workforce Development Board. My question is for the college. What advice would you give the college on being flexible for learners who are full-time employees and not full-time students? You know, does online learning factor into what you offer, nights, weekends? How do you navigate that?
Okay. Well, that's a really good question. We, part of our motto is being flexible, right, in terms of the training schedule and so forth. So we, most of our apprenticeship programs, we have classes at least 2 days a week. They're almost always in the evenings, like starting at 6 o'clock. So the instructors have agreed to that particular schedule, and it works great, as you said, for people that are working. The other thing that we employ is where we can do a lot of the training online. It depends on what it is, right? So there may be, hybrid training, where you have, part of the training face-to-face and in another session online. And we do that constantly. Even in the construction industry, we have that particular program or option in terms of the schedule. We also train on Saturdays. We've even done training on Sundays sometimes, very rare. But you have to be flexible because people are working. Now, it goes without saying, I think, but everybody knows that if you're registered in an official RAP, Registered Apprenticeship Program, then you have to be working, right? So we're looking for people that are in the industry already, and those people are looking to credential up, so to speak. So you're right, there's challenges in terms of their schedule, how much time they can dedicate to that. And the last thing we want to do is schedule classes at an hour that's not good for them or not be flexible in the training schedule and so forth. So that's kind of how we deal with that, hybrid and also being flexible in the schedule.
So does the college create like specific courses just for the apprentices then, or how do you work them into the existing? Because I know they have, you've got quotas you have to make before a class can.
Yeah, sure.
make
I mean,
and all
yeah,
that.
we do that. We have, we have a group of instructors that help us with curriculum development, but also remember the employer speaks into that, and they can help develop the curriculum for the training that they need. So we do both and. But, we may have 4 courses. Each course is 48 hours, so to speak, or a 96-hour course, or a total of 384-hour courses, which is a whole package. But every program is different, and courses are specifically designed for that particular program. And they're all vetted and approved and all those things. But yeah, we do a lot of work and investment in that. We look for industry experts as well as the people from the employment side to actually develop the curriculum. The employer may be able to speak into the curriculum as to what they need, but they may not have experts who can actually design the curriculum so that it can be taught to people. You know what I'm saying? So on our side, we have instructors to help us do that. But that's a very important step as well.
Thank you.
I know.
Other questions? Oh my God, y'all are letting us off easy. Oh. I knew that would get you to raise your hand.
What can I say? This is for the college. Obviously, some of your programs that are apprenticeships are probably degree programs, and some of them are certificate-based programs. Does the apprenticeship carry on to a certain point in the education experience, such as a credential or a certificate of completion, or in the case of degree programs, do they go all the way to degree completion?
It's a good question. Yes, as I was mentioning earlier, we have a lot of people in our college on the accredited side, let's just say it that way. We're all one college, right? But we have had a lot of success, in apprenticeships in terms of recruiting people and getting them involved and so forth. Initially, the accredited side was not very interested in that. Let's just say it that way. Now, because they can see people are, enrolling in apprenticeship programs, it's something that's very viable. It's something that's important. It helps the workforce and so forth. There's more interest in that. So there's a challenge from the accredited side to say now to the apprenticeship program, or let's say the Office of the Apprenticeship, hey, let's develop all of your apprenticeship programs with a pathway to the accredited side. It sounds good in theory, it's like, oh, yeah, that's a great idea. But again, that's not really what a lot of people in the industry are looking for. Some people want a short-term training for a year or so, and they're looking for a certain credential, and that's it. They're finished. I'm out. I got my credential. I got my training. I got my knowledge, and that's what I needed. Other people are interested in that. So it's a both-and kind of a thing. You want to look for opportunities. We do have, to answer your question more specifically, we do have apprenticeship programs that are a direct pathway into, once you finish this particular apprenticeship program, you get the credential from the Department of Labor, or you don't even have to go that far and get your credential. You finish with the program that we have, the classroom instruction part, you're ready immediately to continue towards an associate's degree or a bachelor's degree, because those courses that you took in the apprenticeship programs were accredited by the college, right, already. So you already, have a certain number of credits, and you just continue that pathway. When it works that way, it's a beautiful thing. We also have, on the accredited side, some programs that are less demanding or a lower ranking than we have in the apprenticeship program, in the case of, in the construction area. So we have a diversity of things there, but it's not just, I think you want to shy away from the cookie cutter type mentality. It's really important to be flexible, agile, nimble, and look at what the employers or the industry is saying and develop them that way. If they're interested in accreditation later on, do that. Go for it. If that's what your audience wants, do it. But I think you have to be flexible.
Any more questions?
Could you further elaborate in regards to the RN apprenticeship? I know that that's a new process, but in regards to your audience, are you working with hospitals or individuals that do have some history or background in the medical field?
Yeah, I'm going to let Desi speak more to that. I know it's under development. There's a lot of different hospitals around our area, to let's say supply that particular program with candidates. But in terms of exactly how it's being developed, how many candidates or slots we're going to have in that, and where the process is, it's really exciting. A lot of people have heard about that, and we're super excited about it as well. But I'll let Desi.
Registered nurse is not currently a apprenticeable occupation. We're going through the process. We had many hospitals, many colleges, many boards interested in supporting that and needing more nurses in the field of medicine. We were trying to do registered apprenticeship. It is now in it's gone through the state approval, it's gone through regional, it's now in the national office. So the process is the national office works with national organizations to work through, does the industry really want to move towards apprenticeship? That process, I just followed up on this morning. It's still moving forward. It must be on the inchworm's back because it has been really slow in getting there. But the anticipation is it is coming. So we have the Board of Nursing that's just waiting for the colleges or the training entity that's going to do it to bring their model forward to be approved. So it's going to be really quick, fast, and very exciting because Texas will be the first one. The first program that will be approved will be South Texas College. And they will have to go to the Board of Nursing to make sure that their model, the way they have it laid out, will be approved. But we'll see how that goes. And then we'll have other ones coming forward. They're just waiting in the pipeline for it to actually happen. So excited about that. Any more questions? Well, I just want to say in closing, I want you to help me thank Brandi and Kim for traveling here and giving us the information. And then I also want to invite you to go to the table. There's business cards for Tracy and Weston there. There's a QR code on the back, easy to carry. You have all the information. There's also a one-pager there that gives you a lot of information about that we've touched on today. And there's 2 QR codes that take you to information that will support your exploring registered apprenticeship. So I'll say goodbye, and I'll let Tracy and Kim. Tracy.
I knew you meant.
Brandi. Tracy, you can leave.
No, just want to say thank you. We have our contact information here if you want to follow up with us with any questions that you may think of following this, but definitely look into participating in registered apprenticeship. Thank you.
Same thing. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for coming. God bless you. Have a great day.